Just a quick reminder that I do have a Patreon and Subscribe Star that you can check out, and a link below to get more info on that. It'll have this week's Speedpaint in long format, as well as giving you access to this month's exclusive video of Miss Dynamite. Anyway, on with the video. What's good, people? Agent Juice reporting for duty. Kirby! I love Kirby. I have loved Kirby ever since I played Nintendo 64's Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards, when I was but a wee tyke. Ever since, he has been my one true Nintendo love, and I was looking for an excuse to draw him. So how am I going to draw a video game character on a cartoon channel? Well, it just so happens that Kirby had himself an anime back in the 2000s called Kirby Right Back At Ya. I have never seen Kirby Right Back At Ya prior to very recently, so I decided to check it out to give myself said excuse to draw Kirby. So, without further ado, let us go ahead and buckle into our favorite warp star so we can flit about the galaxy like some kind of rapscallion. Let us go to interestingly shaped planets. Let us crash on one of those planets to save the world, suck up our enemies to absorb their power, and use that power to smash that like button, and let us go ahead and discuss Kirby. So, of course, first things first, let us talk about the Speedpaint. This one's pretty straightforward. It is our Lord and Master Kirby lording over his home planet of Popstar. There is kinda sorta a reference here. It's actually from another video game called Asura's Wrath. There's a scene where one of the bosses you have to fight grows to the size of a planet and looms over the entire planet Earth before he delivers this great attack that you get to stop. It's a really goofy game. You should check it out. The point is that Kirby is our glorious pink puffball god who looms over us, and we should all bend the knee to his might and absorb his praise much in the same way he absorbs his enemy's power. Oh, yes, me and Kirby, we go way back. As I mentioned before, my first exposure to him was the video game Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards, on, surprise, surprise, the Nintendo 64. I remember seeing the original ad they aired to American audiences, and it's this little gimmick where, like, there's this woman who's doing, like, this adopt-a-thon thing with these little cute pets. And she says, like, oh, you know, little Muffins here is a tabby cat, and, you know, little Schnookums here is a puppy dog, and Kirby is a destructive force of nature. And it showcases all the things you can do on this newfangled video game of Kirby, and it shows this cute little pink puffball morphing his body into multiple weapons. And my little kitty self, when I saw that, I was like, that is the coolest thing in the world. This cutesy puffball who can morph himself into any weapon he pleases as long as he absorbs the powers of his enemies. So it was like the cute factor of the aesthetic of Kirby went right over my head because I didn't care about it. All I cared about was having ultimate power. And so I gladly jumped on the Kirby bandwagon ever since. And so I grew up loving Kirby despite only playing that one Kirby game. The only time I ever played Kirby again was in Smash Bros. So I just kind of bopped along, and like I mentioned, in the early 2000s, here comes this anime of Kirby. Now, the funny thing is, at the time when it first came out, I didn't really have an interest in it despite having this great love of Kirby. And the main reason why is because I didn't see from the advertisements of Kirby Right Back At Ya that I was going to get the same God of Destruction Kirby that I kind of fell in love with in my head. It was just going to be kind of like, you know, Kirby being his cute little self along with these cute little denizens going on cute little adventures. And that's great and all. Kirby is marketed as being a cute little puffball, but I was more interested in his destructive side than I was his cute side. So I gave that entire anime a miss for a while. Until now, that is. So now here I sit, a grown man, watching through parts of this anime for the first time. And so I want to give you my thoughts, and my ultimate thought is, it's pretty good. It's very clear that this is a children's anime. It's marketed towards children. It's cutesy and kitty. It's nice and harmless, with an asterisk there, and I'll get into that in a bit. It's very much kind of like that 90s and 2000s Pokemon vibe. You know, it's like, you know, oh, we're gonna go on a cutesy little adventure. And you can definitely tell that not only was the original anime cutesy and aimed more towards kids, but the American translation for American audiences, where they kid it down even further, than it would normally be in Japan, it was very obvious that they were hitting that mark even more feverishly to make sure that, yes, this is for kids, kitty. And that's what you got out of it. I, of course, watched the dub version because that was the only one I could really get my hands on. And that's the one I would have been exposed to had I watched it originally back in the early 2000s. For those of you unfamiliar with Kirby Right Back At Ya, it's a very simple premise. We have this cute little town called Cappy Town on this cute little planet called Popstar. And Kirby, our main character, crash lands on Popstar and meets these two characters, Tiff and Tuff, and these other two floating jawbreaker characters, Fololo and Falala. And so they all get together in this nice cutesy little band to fight the evil mustache-twirling King DDD as he does nasty, malicious things as he is wont to do. And the story is about them going on their everyday cutesy adventures while we see Kirby suck up enemies, spit them out, absorb their power, and use their powers against them. Very simple premise, a very cut and dry, so to speak. So I was mentioning that thing where I said it was cutesy and kitty with an asterisk. What does that asterisk mean? Well, in proper Japanese fashion, despite being a more children-oriented anime, Kirby Right Back At Ya does have some surprisingly dark moments in it. And the one that sticks out to me the most is the opening scene of the first episode of the first season. It is the scene that the creators wanted you to see before anything else. That scene is showing this giant squid monster attacking a harmless flock of cutesy sheep, eating them alive, and spitting out their bones. Okay, I want you to keep that in mind, that is the first scene that these creators wanted you to see in this cute little kitty cartoon. It very much reminds me of the opening scene in the Game of Thrones TV show. The very first thing they want to show you in Game of Thrones is the White Walkers, all right? They show the Knights, these three expendable characters from the Night's Watch discovering that this ancient horror, the White Walkers, are back. And it's going to be this looming threat that will lord over the entire series for the rest of the series. So it's very interesting when an opening scene has such a powerful image like that, because they want you to keep that in mind throughout the rest of the series. And in Kirby Right Back At Ya, they wanted you to see this monster squid devour cute sheep and spit out their bones. And that really cracks me up, because that is something only the Japanese would do. There's no way, especially nowadays, that an American studio would ever make something like that for a cartoon that they're trying to market to children. So that is the one thing that was kind of the big saving grace of Kirby Right Back At Ya. And I don't want to say saving grace in a way that insinuates that the rest of it is horrible. It's just very clear it was meant to be kiddie. Now, I want to correct myself really quick. I said the one saving grace was that juxtaposition of horror in it. There is another saving grace, and I should stop saying saving grace because I don't like insinuating that the show was bad. The other positive, the other unexpected surprise that I really like in Kirby Right Back At Ya was their choice of voices. An example of one of the crazy ways that specifically the English dub does funny voices is they have King Dedede speaking like this kind of cross between this fine Kentucky Southern gentleman and kind of like this Elvis Presley kind of quick Southern accent. And so it's really poppy and really in your face, and very out of place for what I would imagine King Dedede sounding like. And the second character who had a really funny voice that really popped and made this show, I think, unexpectedly funny is Meta Knight. The only time I have ever heard Meta Knight talk, and the only time I've ever seen Meta Knight, period, is in Smash. So I'm very used to him having his deep, edgy knight voice. But in Kirby Right Back At Ya, they decided to give him the Mask of Zorro Spanish accent.
Please, Meta Knight, don't tell the king!
The king is not the problem, for now. Now we have to find the real monster.
And man, that really cracked me up when I first heard it. Oh man, that is not what I imagined Meta Knight sounding like. And so to kind of wrap it all up, here I sat wanting to draw Kirby, And so I made an excuse saying, hey, Kirby actually had an anime, so I could do it on this channel. I decided to give it a watch. And I was expecting it to be the little kitty fiasco, and ultimately was the kitty fiasco, but it had hidden gems. Namely, the strange, dark undertones in it, hence, like I said, that opening scene of the squid devouring the sheep and spitting out their bones. And, of course, their funny usage of voices. And I always like it when you get unexpected surprises in things that you normally have a low or mediocre bar that you're setting for them. I think it really kind of boiled down to the fact that, okay, when you are a parent, okay, you're probably going to, most likely you should, sit with your kids to see what they are watching. That's kind of your job as a parent. So you're going to have to sit through a lot of mind-numbing, cutesy nonsense. So it's nice when the creators of that, kitty cutesy nonsense say like, okay, parents are going to have to watch this with their kids. So let's throw them a few gems. Let's throw a little bit of unexpected horror and funny voices. And so I kind of got a kick out of that. So I'm glad that I decided to make an excuse to draw Kirby and ended up finding something that I enjoyed a little more than I thought I would. And so with that, I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up there for today, so you people know what to do. If you like what you see and you want to see more, go ahead and tickle those sacred buttons so you know what comes next on this channel. Also, please share and comment down below. I do want to hear your thoughts. If you are a fan of Kirby Right Back At Ya, or if you're a fan of Kirby in general, let me know. And of course, share this video far and wide. If you're watching this on Minds.com, it's as easy as hitting the remind button. Otherwise, type in the URL on the YouTube like a caveman and do it that way to show the world you watch good content. And of course, a reminder that this video is sponsored by subscribe to our Patreon. Hit that up at your leisure. And definitely give your old friend here some dollary dues so you can see the long version of the Speedpaint and, of course, every month's exclusive video where I get to talk about saucy things using saucy words. And, of course, if you wish to stalk me elsewhere on the interwebs, here are my links on the screen. And definitely, of course, pay attention to Minds.com because it is an alternative social media website, and I always like promoting that market diversity. And so, yeah, with all that said, I do thank you for spending this time with me. I hope you do stick around, and until next time, all hail Kirby, and deuces.